Imagine this. You're in the prime of your life, maybe mid-30s, feeling good, healthy, active, no family history of, heart problems. Then one morning, you're just out for your usual run, feeling strong, and then just completely out of the blue, everything stops. That's basically what happened to a young man we're calling Raj. A sudden, really unexpected heart attack.
It's a scenario that's unfortunately more common than we'd like to think, a real shock.
Exactly, a total shock to everyone. But then, weeks later, a simple genetic test. It uncovered this, silent culprit, familial hypercholesterolemia, FH. Yeah. It's this condition where, dangerously high cholesterol levels just build up in your arteries, silently, invisibly, just setting the stage for disaster until often it's too late.
And that's the key, isn't it? The silent nature of it.
Right. Raj's story is such a powerful reminder that our genes hold these, secrets. And the really compelling part now, genetic testing is stepping in. It's like this quiet hero, revealing these hidden risks before they become crises.
It's a shift from reactive to proactive medicine.
Precisely. So today, we're doing a deep dive into genetic testing. And look, this isn't science fiction anymore. It's here, it's now, and it's fundamentally changing healthcare.
It really is.
It allows us to predict, to prevent, and to truly personalize medical care. And this knowledge, it's becoming incredibly relevant, especially somewhere like India, where lifestyle diseases are, a huge concern.
It's fascinating, because at its core, genetic testing is really just about analyzing the instructions, the very intricate instructions encoded in our DNA.
The blueprint of life, as they say.
Exactly. Think of it as peering into the body's most fundamental blueprint. So in this deep dive, we're going to break down its incredible power step by step. We want to make it really clear why understanding this tech isn't just for doctors, but is crucial for you, for your family.
Okay, so let's unpack that blueprint idea.
Yeah.
We talk about DNA as this instruction manual, right? This incredibly long string of chemical building blocks, A, T, C, and G.
That's right. The 4 letters of the genetic alphabet.
And they form genes, which control pretty much everything. Eye color, susceptibility to diseases. But how do these tests actually read that manual? How do they interpret it?
Well, think of it like sophisticated proofreading. Genetic testing scans this manual, specifically looking for variations or typos. We call them mutations.
Typos, like spelling mistakes.
Kind of, yeah. Just like a small typo in a really complex recipe can completely ruin the dish, a tiny mutation in a gene can sometimes cause significant health issues.
Okay.
But the power here, the real potential, is catching that typo early. That allows for crucial adjustments, potentially preventing the problem before it even starts.
And getting started with this advanced analysis, it's actually pretty simple for the patient, isn't it?
Surprisingly simple. Often it's just a quick swab from inside your cheek, or sometimes a standard blood draw. That's it.
Okay.
Once that sample gets to the lab, that's where the high-tech stuff happens. It's processed using advanced tools, mainly what we call next-generation sequencing, or NGS.
Yes.
Imagine, instead of reading one book page by page, you could instantly scan every single word, every sentence, across hundreds of books at the same time.
Wow, that's a huge leap.
It is. NGS doesn't just scan millions of DNA pieces simultaneously. It lets us look at entire genomes, or maybe specific sets of genes linked to diseases, with incredible speed and, crucially, at a much lower cost than older methods. It's a real paradigm shift.
And this isn't just happening in major research centers overseas. You mentioned companies like Medgenome and labs right here in Kerala, like OMIGene and Trivandrum. They're leading the charge.
Absolutely. They're making this technology accessible. What used to cost a fortune and take months, now it often happens in days.
Days. That's incredible. For a reasonable price, too, even in smaller cities. That accessibility is key.
It really is democratizing the technology.
And the true power of that accessibility, I think, really shines when we look at the silent threats it can uncover. Because, as you said, many big health issues are lurking in our genes with 0 symptoms.
Exactly. Like Raj's condition, FH.
Familial hypercholesterolemia, yeah.
It's a silent killer, affects maybe 1 in 250 people globally. But critically, estimates suggest around 5 million individuals in India carry it without knowing.
5 million? That's staggering.
It is. And we have data, studies from North India, showing it's behind something like 15% of premature coronary artery disease cases in young adults.
15%.
That's a huge chunk. And here's the critical point. Without testing, cholesterol just builds up silently, arteries clog, often leading to fatal heart attacks, sometimes before people even hit 40.
But if you catch it,
That's the difference. If a genetic test flags it early, doctors can intervene. They can prescribe statins, suggest specific lifestyle changes, things that can slash the risk by up to 80%.
80% reduction? That's life-changing.
Completely. Raj's family you mentioned now urges screening. It turns out awful if only we'd known, and to thank goodness we found out. It gives people agency.
That's powerful. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. What about cancer? That's another area where genetics plays a huge role, right?
Yeah, a massive role. Let's think about another example. Say Anjali, a 42-year-old woman. She goes for a routine checkup. No symptoms, no lumps, no pain, no family history suggesting anything.
Okay, standard checkup.
But her doctor suggests a genetic test, maybe as part of a broader screen, and it reveals a BRCA1 mutation.
The BRCA gene, right? Associated with breast cancer risk.
Exactly. This specific gene glitch significantly ramps up the lifetime risk for both breast cancer, we're talking maybe 55–72% risk, and ovarian cancer, maybe 39–46% risk by age 70.
Whoa. So a routine check turns into this major revelation about future risk.
Precisely. But here's the empowerment part you mentioned earlier. Anjali, now armed with this knowledge before any cancer develops.
She has options.
Exactly. She can opt for much closer monitoring, more frequent mammograms, MRIs. She might consider preventative measures. She's potentially avoiding a diagnosis altogether because of a test taken when she felt perfectly fine.
And spotting these BRCA mutations, which account for, what, 5–10% of breast cancers?
Around that, yes. Spotting them allows for these proactive steps. It changes the narrative from waiting for disease to preventing it.
It's important to clarify, though, most cancers aren't directly inherited like this, are they?
That's a crucial point. You're absolutely right. Over 85% of cancers are sporadic, meaning they arise from environmental factors or random mutations during life, not inherited genes.
Okay.
But that 5–10% hereditary slice, it's absolutely vital to identify, especially when you consider the sheer genetic diversity we have in India. And beyond just prediction, genetic testing is personalizing treatment too.
So,
Well, take lung cancer, for instance. NGS can identify specific mutations, like in the EGFR gene. If that mutation is present, doctors know that targeted drugs, like osimertinib, are likely to be highly effective.
more effective than standard chemo.
Often significantly more effective, maybe 70% more, and frequently with fewer harsh side effects. It tailors the attack to the specific vulnerability of that person's cancer.
That's really tailoring the treatment. Okay, so we've covered heart disease, cancer.
Mhm.
What about rarer conditions? Does genetic testing help there too?
Absolutely. Its reach goes far beyond the big headline diseases. Think about thalassemia. It's a really debilitating blood disorder, unfortunately quite common in India, affecting over 10,000 newborns every single year.
1,000 a year.
Yes. But now it can often be caught through carrier screening, even before a couple gets married or decides to have children.
Carrier screening. So finding out if you carry the gene even if you don't have the disease yourself.
Precisely. This is particularly beneficial in communities where consanguineous marriages between close relatives might be more common. We see this in certain parts of Kerala, for example.
Right, because that increases the risk of recessive disorders.
Exactly. Such unions roughly double the chance of passing on recessive conditions like thalassemia if both partners are carriers. But premarital testing gives couples that knowledge. It allows them to make informed choices.
Choices like IVF, maybe. Selecting embryos.
Yes, options like IVF with preimplantation genetic diagnosis, PGD, become possible, dramatically reducing the risk of having an affected child. It's about providing options based on information.
And speaking of children, another area is newborn screening, right? That's been around for a while.
It has, yes. India started screening newborns back in the 1980s for conditions like congenital hypothyroidism and G6PD deficiency.
Okay.
Now, under national programs, that's expanded. Typically, it covers about 6 core disorders now. It's usually just a simple heel prick blood test done right after birth.
Just a tiny blood spot.
A tiny spot, but it can detect metabolic glitches that, if you don't catch them and treat them early, could lead to severe, lifelong disabilities.
The impact must be huge.
Oh, the statistics are incredibly powerful. I mean, look at tribal areas in central India. Studies found sickle cell disease in maybe 1–2% of newborns there.
That high.
Yes. But detecting it that early allows for interventions, things like prompt antibiotics, hydroxyurea, or even bone marrow transplants in some cases. And these interventions can boost survival rates dramatically from maybe 50% to over 90%.
90%. Incredible.
Imagine that. Sparing a child years of pain, improving their entire life trajectory, all from a test that might cost less than a family dinner out. It's a profound impact.
It really puts it in perspective. Okay, so we've talked a lot about prevention and early detection. But this idea of personalized medicine tailoring treatments, how exactly does knowing my DNA help decide which drug works best for me?
Right, that's the field of pharmacogenomics. It's fascinating. Basically, this type of testing reveals how your specific genes affect how your body processes medications.
So why one painkiller works for me and does nothing to my friend?
Exactly. That could be down to your genes. Take warfarin, for example. It's a very common blood thinner.
Right, used after heart attacks, strokes.
Millions take it. But dosing is tricky. Too much, you risk dangerous bleeding. Too little, it doesn't work. Genetic variants can actually predict how quickly your body breaks down warfarin, helping doctors find the precise, safe dose for you right from the start.
Avoiding that trial and error.
Precisely. Or think about diabetes. India has, what, 77 million diabetics?
A huge number.
Huge.
Oh.
Testing for specific gene variants, like in the SLC30A8 gene, can help customize insulin therapy or other treatments. This leads to much better blood sugar control and, importantly, helps cut down the risk of serious complications like kidney failure or blindness down the line. It's about finding the right drug at the right dose, specifically for your genetic profile.
That's truly personalized. And you mentioned Kerala earlier. It's high literacy, good healthcare access. It sounds like the state is really embracing this.
It really is a compelling case study. There's definitely a surging demand for genetic services there.
You see it on the ground. Absolutely. Centers like the Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology in Thiruvananthapuram, they offer advanced NGS for a whole range of things, from infertility workups to investigating recurrent miscarriages.
So beyond the big diseases we discussed.
Oh, yes. And even though the rate of consanguineous marriage might be lower than, say, Andhra Pradesh,
Yeah.
it's still present in Kerala. And it does raise the index of suspicion for certain things, like congenital heart defects. Genetic testing can help pinpoint those risks.
Is there data showing it helps?
There is. Actually, a 2024 study specifically looked at screening in consanguineous families in Kerala. It found that genetic screening cut the rate of anomalies detected by about 40%.
40%. That's significant.
Very significant. It shows the tangible benefits of having that genetic insight early on, allowing for better counseling and planning.
It really highlights how proactive people in Kerala are about their health. You hear about clinics reporting a, 30% yearly rise in tests?
Yeah, around 30% year-on-year increase, particularly for hereditary cancers and neurological conditions. The awareness is definitely growing, and crucially, people are acting on it. They want this information.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly promising, almost revolutionary. But let's be realistic. No technology is perfect. What are some of the hurdles, the practical challenges we face in rolling this out more widely, especially across a diverse country like India?
You're right, it's not without challenges. Cost is still a factor. A full, comprehensive panel can run anywhere from, say, 10,000 up to 50,000 rupees.
That's still a lot for many people.
It is, although costs are coming down, and we are seeing more subsidies and insurance beginning to cover some tests. Accessibility is another big one. Specialized labs aren't everywhere, particularly in rural areas.
The urban-rural divide.
Exactly. And then there's the emotional side, getting results that show a high risk for a serious disease that can cause immense anxiety. It can lead to really tough decisions like the prophylactic mastectomies we talked about for BRCA carriers.
That must be incredibly difficult.
It is, and that's why genetic counseling is absolutely essential. It's not just about getting the data, it's about understanding it, processing it, and making informed choices without panic.
That counseling piece seems critical. Which brings us to the bigger picture, the ethical considerations. This is powerful information. How do we navigate that responsibly?
The ethical landscape is definitely complex, and we're still navigating it. Privacy is obviously huge. Your DNA is the most personal information there is.
Unique to you.
Absolutely. And leaks could potentially lead to discrimination, maybe by insurers, maybe by employers. India brought in the Digital Personal Data Protection Act in 2023, which helps, but enforcement and ensuring real protection are key.
Right. What else?
Informed consent is vital. People need to really understand what a test can and can't tell them. Not every variant found is a bad one. Many are benign, just normal human variation. We need to avoid causing unnecessary fear.
So managing expectations.
Yes. And then there's the issue of equity. We risk widening health gaps if only the wealthy in big cities can afford these tests, while others miss out on potentially life-saving information.
Making it accessible for all.
That has to be the goal. And alongside that, tackling potential misuse. We see direct-to-consumer kits online, promising ancestry insights, maybe some health tidbits.
Those seem popular.
They are, but they might lack medical depth or proper interpretation, sometimes causing false alarms or false reassurance. Using regulated, accredited labs like those with CAP accreditation you find in places like Bengaluru is crucial for reliability.
So sticking to the medical channels.
Generally, yes, especially for health decisions. We also need to be sensitive about potential stigma, especially around genes linked to mental health conditions, which might deter people from testing. But the good news is the field is maturing. We have guidelines emerging from bodies like the Indian Council of Medical Research, helping shape responsible practices.
Okay, so there are challenges, but also progress on the ethical front. Looking ahead then, beyond the hurdles, what's on the horizon? What's the next frontier for genetic technology in healthcare?
Oh, the future is incredibly exciting. Gene therapy is probably the biggest game changer on the horizon.
Actually fixing the genes,
Exactly. Tools like CRISPR, you might have heard of it. It's often called gene editing.
like molecular scissors.
That's a great analogy. It allows scientists to make incredibly precise changes to the DNA sequence to potentially find those typos we talked about and correct them at their source.
Is this actually happening now?
It is. In 2024, the very first CRISPR-based therapy for sickle cell disease actually became available in India. We're seeing potential cures for patients who've suffered their whole lives. And there are clinical trials using CRISPR for BRCA-related cancers, trying to snip out faulty genes right inside tumors.
Wow, that's incredible. What else?
We're also seeing pilots for expanded newborn genomic screening, not just for 6 conditions, but potentially scanning for hundreds, maybe over 200 genetic conditions right at birth. There's a pilot in Delhi looking at this. The potential is there to prevent maybe 1 in 300 infant deaths if we could catch these things super early.
Mind-blowing potential.
And then there's India's unique advantage, our sheer genetic diversity. With 1.4 billion people, countless ancestries, it's an unparalleled resource.
How does that help?
Well, projects like the Indian Genome Variation Database are actively mapping this diversity. This means we can move beyond relying solely on data from Western populations and develop tests specifically tailored to genetic variations common here in India. That means more accuracy, better diagnosis, more relevant treatments for our own people.
Tailoring it to the local context.
Exactly. And think about the scale of the health challenges. Cancer rates climbing 1.4 million new cases yearly. Heart disease killing 2 million Indians annually. If we can successfully integrate genetic testing into routine care, the potential savings in treatment costs are enormous. But more importantly, the number of lives saved could be countless.
We're already seeing success stories filter through, aren't we?
Absolutely. They're becoming more common. You hear about, say, a family in Mumbai. The father had early onset diabetes. Testing revealed a specific MODY gene variant.
Of a different type of diabetes.
Yes, one that often responds better to pills than insulin. That single piece of genetic information completely shifted his treatment. He went off insulin, onto pills, his health stabilized, quality of life improved dramatically.
Amazing.
Or a couple in Kerala considering starting a family. Carrier screening revealed they both carried the gene for cystic fibrosis. That knowledge allowed them to pursue options to avoid passing it on. These aren't rare exceptions anymore. This is becoming the new normal as awareness spreads.
And it feels like there's real momentum now. Government initiatives helping fund tests.
Yes. The National Policy on Rare Diseases, for example, helps fund testing for over 1,000 different conditions now.
And private companies are driving down costs.
Definitely. NGS costs have plummeted maybe 90% over the last decade. That makes a huge difference. Plus, education campaigns are ongoing, working hard to demystify genetics and make people feel more comfortable with the idea.
So wrapping this up, if we boil down our deep dive today, the core message really seems to be about empowerment, doesn't it?
I think that's exactly right.
Genetic testing isn't about being scared of your genes. It's about understanding them. It turns those unknowns into things you can actually act on, like Raj managing his cholesterol proactively, or Anjali getting those extra scans. It's about taking information and turning it into better health.
Absolutely. For every hidden risk that might be lurking in your DNA, there's now potentially a chance to rewrite that story, to change the outcome. In a country like India grappling with lifestyle epidemics and complex health issues, this technology really could be the lifesaver we didn't even realize we needed. Your DNA holds secrets, yes, but they're secrets worth unlocking.
So the question really isn't if we should think about genetic testing anymore.
No, I don't think it is.
It's more about when, and maybe how soon can we make this kind of powerful knowledge
a standard part of healthcare for everyone, something for all of us, for you listening, to consider your own genetic roadmap and the power that comes with understanding it.